Alright, so this video is going to cover the difference between a feminist, or as I'll just call it, an equalist versus a misandrist. Here's the meme. Okay, so that is the meme that this video is going to be based off of. Now, before I even get into this, I'm using this word quite frequently, but I don't know how many of you actually know this, what this means, because there are therapists out there that don't know what misandry means. So I want to make sure this is that this word is understood and defined, so it's clearly understood what this word means. Misandry, a noun. Dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against men, i.e. the male sex. Misandry is the hatred of, prejudice against men, or boys in general. Misandry may be manifested in numerous ways, including social exclusion, sex discrimination, hostility, gynocentrism, matriarchy, belittling of men, violence against men, and sexual objectification. Okay. Now that we know what misandry means, and misandrist is just the other way of putting it, now we can move on. Now, this is a pretty poor meme to base things off of, because I actually don't agree with a lot of the equalists. I don't even want to say feminist, but that's what it is up top, so we'll just go with that. I only agree with the first, and the second to last, and the very last statement on the left, and that's it. So, let's move on. This is the difference between equality and misandry. As you can tell, there is a huge difference between the two. Now, I don't say feminist like the picture says in the first category for a reason, because all of those feminists are no longer in existence. The misandrist is, or misandryist, however you want to put it, is the current day feminist, as it were. Of course, I don't agree with everything on the left, as they mentioned the whole gender is not defined by sex, and because yes, it does define it. Biologically, you're either male or female. You cannot identify as anything else by what you feel. And if you do, it's because of mental illness. Because if we can just start defining our gender by what we feel, or whatever the identity crisis-wise is going on, then I can just one day state, I identify as God. Well, according to the logic in which it's used, I am now God. So there, bow down to me, praise me, worship me. It doesn't work like that now, does it? So let's move on now that we've got those things out of the way. Anyway, equality is indeed the end goal for anyone who doesn't have an agenda. The only thing on the left side that got right was the first statement and the last two statements. Current day females are more so than misandry than ever before, using mass faulty generalizations, slanders males any chance they get, regardless of how desperate, petty, childish as it comes off as, trying to defame us with any opportunity that there could ever be, even if it's completely made up and or for no reason. They're extremely contradictory, as shown in the second statement under the misandrist section. Extremely irrational and emotionally responsive over intellectually sound, eloquent responses, and articulately well thought out ration, as shown by the third statement under the misandrist. Hyper-exclusive, hyper-focused on their own gender and selves in the most selfish, self-absorbed, self-righteous, arrogant way possible. as they have a superiority complex and daddy issues as shown in the fourth statement under the misandrist section. And the last statement under the misandrist section speaks for itself. What it really comes down to and the real agenda of the current day females and the so-called feminist and Me Too movements, etc. fads that are so hyper-focused on females and feminine relations and so on and so forth, and saying that superiority is the main goal, and that misandrist, or otherwise being misandry, is the norm. If you really look at today's media, look at today's just everything, what do you see the most in the news? What do you see the most TV time being about? Female this, female that, female this, female that. And then of course they gotta throw in some color, so they're just like, black female does this, black female does that. You know, it doesn't matter what it really is about, but just because it has something to do with a female, it gets the airtime. And it takes a serious major thing in order for males to get any type of TV time that isn't negative. Like if it comes to criticizing men, attacking men, slandering men, then of course they'll be up there no problem. But it's all about female empowerment, aka superiority. And so yeah, misandry has become so regularized, so normalized, that today's people are literally, how do you say, immune, disassociated, however you want to put it. They're no longer affected by it. They don't even realize they're doing it because it's so normal. That misandrist section sums up today's world. Literally. Sad times we live in.